Vulcan Energy Resources is developing a zero carbon lithium project in the Upper Rhine Valley brine field of Germany. To give us an update on how the project is tracking is the company's executive chair and founder, Dr. Francis Wedin. Welcome, Francis.
Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for having me on.
Firstly, give us a quick introduction to the Zero Carbon Lithium Project.
Sure. So Vulcan is two things rolled into one. So we are a commercial renewable energy producer. We're producing geothermal energy from a deep geothermal brine resource in the Upper Rhine Valley in Germany. The resource also extends into France. And from that same deep geothermal brine resource, we're also developing our phase one of our what we call our Zero Carbon Lithium Project, which is extracting lithium from the same brine and processing it into a battery-grade lithium hydroxide product using the renewable heat and power from our renewable energy operations. And in doing so, we can produce lithium with a net zero carbon footprint and zero fossil fuels used in the process, which has never been done before. And we're now going into the execution stage of our phase one commercial project on the lithium side. So the rubber is hitting the road.
So let's expand on that a little bit more. What will phase one entail?
So we're building a 24,000 ton per annum lithium hydroxide operation. And this is an integrated energy and lithium chemicals operation. So we'll also be producing roughly 30 megawatts heat and 30 megawatts power as well as a co-product. We've bought the first parcels of land for this, and we've done some preparatory work on those pieces of land. What we have still ahead of us is the full financing for phase one, and we're targeting to start that in November. So what we'll be doing in the meantime is putting the last pieces of the puzzle in place that we need to start financing. So we'll be completing our bridging study, which is the successor to the DFS, which was done earlier in the year. And we're expecting some capex savings there because we're going from one plant in the upstream, from two plants in the upstream down to one plant. So expecting some savings there. We'll also get our optimization plants up and running. We just got the building permit for the second one, and we are already commissioning the first one. So we should get those plants into commissioning and then up and running, which will be an important proof point for financiers as well. Essentially, they will produce the first tons of lithium chemicals domestically ever produced in Europe. So we're looking forward to that as an important proof point in our process. We've been piloting it for a number of years now, but this is really sort of, orders of magnitude larger scale. And then we go into the financing in November. And after that, we go into full execution of phase one of the Zero Carbon Lithium Project.
Speaking of financing options, what options is Vulcan looking at? So
we're looking at project level equity. So because this project is quite similar to an integrated energy project, like an integrated oil and gas project, just minus the oil and gas, we have an upstream and a downstream. We have the opportunity to take different equity partners at different levels of this project. And we've got a lot of interest from energy companies, including oil and gas companies, also chemicals companies as well as financial investors. So what we're looking at doing is raising a debt and equity package, roughly 65% debt, 35% equity is targeted. And the equity we're looking at raising at a project level, not a top co level. So we'll be starting that process in November. On the debt side, it will be led by BNP Paribas. And on the debt side, we've also got substantial support from export credit agencies, particularly in Europe, where we've been designated as a project of strategic national importance by the French ECA, and we've also been designated as a green project by the Italian ECA, subject to a process. So we expect substantial support there, and we'll officially start that process, all going well, in November once we've got those last pieces of the puzzle in place.
Now, Francis, this project is unique to Vulcan. As you've mentioned, it would be the world's first net carbon neutral lithium business. How important are these net carbon neutral projects amid the green energy transition? And could this model be applied more broadly across the industry?
We think so. We're using this type of lithium extraction, adsorption type direct lithium extraction. There are a number of other projects in operation, but many more being built using this technique, including by major lithium companies in various parts of the world. And as I mentioned, also the oil and gas sector is also investing in this space as well. So companies like Exxon, Oxy, Schlumberger, Koch Industries. So it's an interesting space. There's a big wave of new sort of sustainable lithium supply coming on stream with a much lower carbon footprint than we currently have. The opportunity is substantial. So lithium currently has a very high carbon footprint. And if we electrify the world's passenger vehicles using the current status quo in terms of lithium supply, you're talking about 1 to 2 billion tons of CO2 emitted. That's the annual emissions of France, Italy, and the UK combined, just for the lithium going into those batteries. So if we can go some way towards decarbonizing that, and we think we can avoid, millions of tons from our own operations. But there's a global perspective to this as well. There is a substantial opportunity to decarbonize the lithium industry.
Dr. Francis Wedin, Executive Chair and Founder of Vulcan Energy Resources, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Carolyn. Cheers.